Hey, is getting approved really easy?
Only to find out you get that message whereby you've been declined. So what can I do to position myself so that I can start with my property journey?
So now before you start speaking about the offer to purchase and how do we actually sign the offer to purchase, what I would do is that I'll go to my bond originator, tell them that I'm willing to buy a property, but now she needs to do a pre-approval.
So before you actually retire young, before you become financially free with property investing, let us look at what is the bank going to require so that they can actually give me that loan. Hi everyone, you are tuned into Non-Wealth and my name is Neo.
And my name is Lebu. Today we are actually going to talk about how do you actually get approved.
You know, as a property investor, when you're starting your journey and you're like, you know what, I do not have the necessary finances, but I'm going the credit way. I am going to apply for a loan and I am going to get one. Only to find out you get that message whereby you've been declined. So what can I do to position myself so that I can start with my property journey through approval?
Most of us, there are some of us that are willing to buy this home cash, right? But now, for most of us that actually can't buy property cash, we need to actually consider that if I am going to go through the credit route, what should I be actually looking at, right? So now the first thing that actually stands out for me, right, it's actually reverse engineering the whole system. How do I then work? So now, most of us, I know we get really excited and we're like, man, you know what? I am actually going to be a property investor, right? But now the question is that what or how do you actually start viewing these particular properties? So now the price element becomes then important. So now how do we know which properties do we actually start looking at? Because now it would be pointless for you to looking at a property when you have a budget of around say 700,000 and you have a property that's worth 1 million, looking at a property that's worth 1 million, right? There are various things that you actually need to be looking at.
Sure. And even with regards to retirement, I know some of you guys, you know what, you've heard that this is the best time to buy property because of the interest rates. So now you are looking at, you know what, I want to retire young. I've heard this too many times. I'm going to retire young, I'm going to leave that job, and then I'm going to get into property investing. Let us think that how is this actually going to affect me with regards to applying? Because once I quit and say, you know what guys, I quit, I'm out of here, I'm going for financial freedom with regards to property investing. Now I start applying only to find out that Mr. or Miss Bank is like, you know what, Lebu, I'm going to need your 3 months pay slip and I'm also going to need your bank slip. And then he'll be like, you know what, I shouldn't have left that job. So before you actually take that decision, you need to be thinking about how are they going to look at me, the creditors? How are the creditors going to look at me before I actually get approved for this? So before you actually retire young, before you become financially free with property investing, let us look at what is the bank going to require so that they can actually give me that loan.
Most definitely. So now let's start now by looking at reverse engineering this whole system, right? So now say for instance, you are getting paid a good 25,000 Rand on a monthly basis, right? So now when you're getting paid 25,000 on a monthly basis, you need to now start to think of how much would you actually be paying in bond. Right? That's when the bank is actually going to check for your affordability. Are you able to actually afford this particular property? So now we're earning 25,000 Rand, but now at the end of the month, you're only left with 300 Rand. That's evident that you won't be able to actually afford a property that's with any amount, because the only money that you do have is the 300 Rand to pay on a monthly basis. So now this is when we're actually talking about pre-planning before you're actually going to be buying that particular property. So now if I'm getting paid 25,000 on a monthly base, it's important for me to actually keep away 10,000 on a monthly base. So now live on the 15,000 so that the bank also sees, or they actually get that confidence that, okay, this person is actually able to maintain this whole bond that I am actually going to give to them.
Sure. What you just said right now, what clicks in my mind is affordability. So now when we're speaking about affordability, even if I'm earning better than Lebu, he's good 25,000, let's say I'm earning 100K a month, only to find out that when they look at my affordability, I'm only left with 200, or I'm actually going to overdraft. That will risk me being approved for this particular loan. So now when you're speaking about affordability, therefore I already know that when I'm applying for this loan, what is my net? When I'm talking about net, is how much am I left with after my gross? So your gross income, I know we're being quite technical, but let me break it down for you. Gross is how much I'll receive before any deductions. What's going to happen is that all the deductions will happen with regards to, maybe let's say at work, they will subtract whatever, and I'll be left with this amount. And then now that's going to come down to, let's just say that my gross was 50,000. And then after all the deductions from your UIF and pension fund, now from that 50,000, I'm left with about 30K. And then the 30K, tring, tring, rings in my bank account. And then from the 30K, I'll start spending now. I'll start spending. If I'm left with only 200, or I even jumped into overdraft, this will be a problem when I'm applying for my next loan. Because now the bank will look at me in terms of affordability. Can this person afford?
So now, when you're also looking at your affordability, right, what we actually like using is our power team. We're always speaking about the power team. So now with your power team, you need to actually have your bond originator in place. So now before you start speaking about the offer to purchase and how do we actually sign the offer to purchase, what I would do is that I'll go to my bond originator, tell them that I'm willing to buy a property, but now she needs to do a pre-approval. So now what does a pre-approval mean? A pre-approval is basically the bond originator going to actually go to the particular bank and telling them that, okay, this is a property that you would like to buy, and checking if the banks would actually be able to fund you for that particular property. So now if, say for instance, I take my pre-approval to my bond originator and the feedback comes back and then they tell me that, okay, you know what, Mr. Nong, you are able to actually take a property that's worth 900,000. From that, I can then start searching. It makes my search actually easier because now I know that I'm actually searching from the 900,000 to the 1 million, depending on how much cash I do have. So now say for instance, they do actually give me that 900,000. I need to make sure that if I do actually buy a property that's worth 1 million, I need to have the extra amount that the bank won't be actually funding me.
Sure. And just to sum up, when I was speaking about financial freedom and retiring young, just to sum up financial freedom and retiring young while quitting at a young age, we need to be thinking, if I'm earning 25,000 and my net, now let's just say in this case my net was actually about 10,000. That means I can approve that means the bank will look at the 10,000 and they'll say, you know what, we approve you for X amount of house. Now what I need to do before I leave that job, I need to look at, okay, what type of property can I buy with this bond? And now when I buy that type of property, I'm going to take it a step further and look at how much will I be left with? How much will I be left with after all my expenses? Your rent, your levies, if they are applicable, your rates and taxes, your insurance, all of these expenses, how much will I be left with? If I'm left with 1,000 rand, and then I already know that I can't leave this job and go to that property whereby my expenses are, let's say 20,000, and now I'm earning 1,000 from that property. So now the dream of retiring young and leaving that job actually went bad because I did not have that necessary information before I took that decision. So that's it from my side, guys.
Man, if you are actually willing to actually speak to us, you can send us an email at property@nongwealth.co.za.
I mean, if you want to take a financial decision whereby you like, you know what, I'm retiring young, I want to go into property investing, we're opening a platform, we want to do something exciting. From next week, what we want to do, we want to host an Instagram live, because we've been speaking to so many of you guys, sharing a lot of information, sharing a lot of value. So what we want to do on a weekly basis, we want to interact with you on Insta Live. However, in order for you, we're going to be doing this once a week. In order for us to actually do this, what you need to do is send a request to our email. Or if you're not interested in being on Instagram, you can send us an email at property@nongwealth.co.za so that we can add value to your property journey.
Well, there's something exciting that we have actually started, right?
So it's not just Instagram?
It's not just Instagram. So now, if you actually want to learn about property investing, if you want to learn the ins and outs of property investing, especially as a beginner, so that you can actually minimize the mistakes that you are actually going to be doing, we have actually started a property course, right? So now in this property course, we will be actually telling you all about the basics, how to run numbers, finding the good deals, and actually how do you now scale this particular business of yours. If you are actually interested, please do send us an email at property@nongwealth.co.za.
At the end of the day, what I really like about this course is that we focus on getting the right deal, that skill of getting the right deal. I mean, once you have the skill of getting the right deal, we talk a whole lot about investment. That is a skill that you can take to all your businesses, throughout all your property journeys, so that you are able, even without us, you are able to identify that good deal.
If you have actually stayed until this far, please put in a pro, man. Please put in a pro. So now, please do actually subscribe if you haven't, leave us a like and leave a comment down below, right? Nongwell?
Signing on.